Hi guys, this is Sydney. Suddenly I was feeling called to be on camera and share one of my stories of me traveling to one of my different timelines. So in linear time sense, we call it like the past because it happened like in linear sense deep in the age of darkness or just starting. So that was like ending the chapter of the Republican, and we were moving into the energy of the Empire. So very much centralized energy after that. So that's my Cleopatra timeline. So I shared bits and pieces of my Isis timeline of how I recall my memory and tapping into the Akash, reliving those moments. And I didn't really have a lot of these Akashic records tapping in moments with Cleopatra timeline, and it was all with a purpose. So everything was taking place in divine timing, and for some reason my spirit team's coming through right now. And interestingly, Saint Germain and Ascended Masters are with me for some reason for me to share this experience, this story of mine, for anyone that may resonate, that may help someone, okay, is what is coming through. So as I'm just talking about it, I'm already tapping into that energy, and it's already making me like really emotional as I'm speaking right now. So in one of the videos, they want me to share. So I went on a journey of my soul recollection. So what I did, or what I was contracted to do, or what I designed to do on a soul level, with Gaia, with Source, with my spirit team. The timing was for the 222 portal on the February 22nd, 2022, which was a very important pivotal point for Gaia's ascension. So even before that, since 2018, I've been waking up myself and doing a lot of intense shadow work and starting to do a lot of cleansing, and then had me go to an extreme physical cellular cleanse by going through a huge surgery that I shared. And with that event, I completely went into a deep cleansing of my, like the eating habits and foods and stuff like that. So I was feeling really cold to go to Egypt, to the pyramid for 22222, and I shared that there was a group, and I don't know whether I was supposed to join with the group there, but I in a way joined alone in the group, and I was adding the energy to the group in the moment of 22222. So I went to the pyramid before in a group tour, and later I went again alone on the 222 day in 2022. And I went a little bit earlier, and I started to meditate, looking into the the pyramid. And I don't know what I was doing, but I just felt like I needed to add my energy. I was meditating, like just sitting like this literally, and just adding my energy. So that's how the journey began. And then since then, I've been moving to different continents, which I had left my soul pieces, energies. So I needed to reconnect, to revive, and bring them all back. So they started with Egypt, and I went to different, areas, and I stayed in different areas. And I was feeling called later to move to Egypt. And there I was moving around as well. And then it was all through my intuition. And I had to learn to communicate with my spirit team in a very different way than I had been doing before. So I had to catch and then realize, this is what it is. This is what they're trying to tell me, and that is what is really taking place. So it was all solely dependent on my higher self and me and my spirit team. So I went to, when I went to Greece, there was a lot of energies with the sacral chakra, especially when I moved to this certain part, outskirts of the Athens. There's a town by the sea, and there I went to the ocean almost every single day, especially during the sunset time, just before sunset. And whenever I was there, the moon and the sun would be together. I would be connecting, and I would meditate in the water, connecting with the moon and the sun together. And that journey that began from Egypt was to recollect my soul aspects of Isis. And then this was the Cleopatra timeline in Greece. And at the time, I had no idea why I was there, what was it for. But the moment I went to the top of the Pantheon in Athens, I don't know, is it called like the Pantheon, you know, like the well-known one, right? Up the hill. So I went there for the first time, and I remember I was always drawn to go to Greece for some reason, ever since I was like very young. And I was like, whoa, like I'm actually here. I never thought that I would be here, because in my life that thus far, like by then, before, I lived like very much in survival. Even though I had this job, I had this education, for some reason I was always changing different jobs, and that was part of the reason as well for my soul evolution to come to this point. Also, I was always lacking with money, so I didn't, I just had just enough to get by. And so I would save up and travel a bit, and then I had to like starve myself, like save up, and felt like there were a lot of things that I wanted to do, but I had to give up because I didn't have the resources. And later, when I was in the corporate job, a lot of these jobs with big titles were very much paid less. So I always kind of, just to get by. And then when I was at the top of the Pantheon, I remember like, whoa, I was very emotional. And then all of a sudden, Aphrodite came through. And it was the first time that I noticed something came through, and it's Aphrodite. And since then, everywhere I went, there were signs and numbers and synchronicities. Aphrodite, 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 Aphrodite. And so, but still, I couldn't make any connections. And I remember when I was in that little town called Vula, I used to go swim. And that was a time when I first started to cry a lot. And I was feeling called to watch this like Korean K-drama. It's a historical drama. And for some reason, I was watching it and I was crying almost every day, like for, I don't know, at least a couple of hours or more, like intensely. Just crying like crazy. And that was the time when I started to suddenly wake up in the middle of the night feeling extremely hungry, and I would just had to eat something. And before then, I was on a very strict diet because I had the surgery and I needed to clean up my body, and also a lot of the medications and all this like stuff that was put onto me for surgery. I was willing to clean all that up. So I went on like once a week, 24-hour fast. Up to that point. So I think by then I was like, it was like June or July time, I was in Greece. So that fasting started back in December 2021. So it's been quite a while, and I had to, suddenly I couldn't do that anymore because I was just suddenly so hungry, super hungry. So my belly was like this, like a pregnant woman, literally, because I just had to, I was crying. I was eating as I was crying. So that was, I had to catch that whenever there is a crown chakra, not crown, but sacral chakra clearing. The body is preparing to feel comfortable. And the way my body was remembering to feel safe and comfortable was through food. So I went through a lot of different and struggles with food addictions in this lifetime. Also this extreme weight gain at one point, where I shared the story a little bit as well, where I think it was winter vacation in my junior year in college when I was back in Korea. I didn't go outside of the house for 1 month, and I kept eating and eating because I couldn't stop feel this hunger. Like I was hungry all the time, and it was very painful because I was so full, almost to a point that I couldn't eat anymore, but I was still craving something, and that made my body like really sluggish. And then I would not wash, I would just I gave up on everything. I didn't clean up the room. I don't know how I lived through that, but what I did was I was watching this opera show that was on like this AFKN channel, American Forces, like a Korean network or something. We don't have that now, but back then they had this channel, and I would watch TV all day long, eating, and then there were certain things that they were sharing and discussing as a topic on opera show, and I would just cry like crazy because I wanted to get out of this, but I felt immobilized by these forces or chains of energy. It's like I couldn't move, and it was very, very painful. And I cried a lot for some reason, and there were a lot of information. So I signed up to go through that process, which was very painful. So most of my life in this lifetime was a very tough one, because this is like the finalization of all these experiences that I chose to have, that I already discussed with Gaia and Source as part of a bigger mission. So to come to this life and also having to clear some generational karma, even though on the outside it looked like I had, I didn't lack anything much, but psychologically, mentally, emotionally, there was very much the famine is the word that is coming. So I lived with the famine energy that was very to an extreme, and a lot of harsh judgments, harsh projections, that basically I was taking on all of my family's karma on my shoulder. And I remember ever since I was like 6 or 7, they would always tell me, you're the oldest in the household. You gotta be responsible. You gotta be this. I remember being so traumatized. It was too heavy. I was like a child, and they kept repeating this to me. And even though I said I hated it, don't tell me that, they would constantly do that. So that was how I was taking on this heavy energy of the ancestral stuff. That was very dark, and I suffer with psychological weird intrusive energies all my life, and I had to deal with that. And interestingly, what you go through, from what I learned, what you may be going through right now, there's certain stuff that's related to what you signed up to do for this lifetime, but that's in a grand design. That's connected to all different your soul experiences and aspects. It's all tied in together. It's very intricate. It's very delicate design, I would say. So what you are carrying right now as heaviness is tied to that different timeline, so-called, we call it the past in a linear sense. It's all tied together, but it's showing up in a different way. So your soul chooses to carry that on with different faces, with different roles that these people are playing, as your parents, as your siblings, as your relatives, as your friends who backstab you, who is always competing with you, jealous on, with you. And basically I lived with all these so-called negative energies. And that's how I know so well the psychology of it, and how they really can make someone feel, because I lived through it. I kind of psychoanalyzed myself by studying psychology in university as well, like doing, I majored in business and minored in psychology in university. So that was part of it. My interest in psychology was to also was a tool for me to bring awareness to what was going on inside my psyche. But it was very tricky because I could get caught up in analysis paralysis that could easily lead to perceiving myself as a victim and staying angry and staying in vengeance. So I had to get out of it. And going back to that Egypt and Greece, so the first memory that came through the very first time was back just earlier this year, I think January, February, when I was in Osaka, where they had me connect with the river stream that's in Osaka. That's very much has an important energy center of the entire water stream throughout Japan. It carries a lot of the very much the sacral, divine feminine energies in the water. Very purifying energy, I would say. And I didn't know, but all of a sudden one night, suddenly I started to remember. This memory came back, meaning I was tapping into the Akash, and it was for a divine purpose. That all of a sudden I went into the timeline, because this is just a body, this is just a vessel. And And who we really are is our consciousness. So my consciousness was traveling through that timeline, through a portal, even though my physical body was here in, at the time, Osaka. I went in and I started to see, and I started to relive that moment when I kill myself in the timeline. And I think a couple of months or several months before that, I didn't know at all about the story of Cleopatra, just like Isis. So all these stories, like all this, my soul aspect was well hidden with a purpose. So I had, you know, so I never really read or watched any movies on Cleopatra, or, you know, I share that when I was in Egypt, Cairo, the museum, I was drawn to this figure of Isis, but I didn't know what that was. So it was like the same. So I could, the purpose behind it is that so these images or this preconceived ideas they don't cloud what I'm seeing. So it was to have clarity from, you know, starting from a blank canvas, or I would say clean slate, that they don't interfere with what really is. So that was the purpose. And yeah, a few months prior to that, I received information from my spirit team all of a sudden that Isis, the Cleopatra was Isis. And I just started to cry like crazy when I received the information, because for some reason there was some kind of resonance, something stirring me up on a soul level. So I had that information, and then all of a sudden, so I had that link, and I was like, oh, okay, I see it, I get it, I got it, I got it, I got it. So I was tapping into my higher self and downloading more information on my own. And then later, so like my spirit team was prepping me, right? It was all in divine timing. So earlier this year in Osaka, all of a sudden I just saw myself, and I was reliving that moment where I carried so much guilt for not being able to carry this mission out. So basically, you know, like the well-known, the story of Cleopatra is more focused on the story of love, due to a lot of, you know, the Shakespeare's story of Cleopatra and Mark Antony and so on and so forth, and especially with the movie that was made later. But actually, I share this, a lot of these stories were manipulated or more like fantasized or romanticized. There was a very strong, extreme love bond, but it wasn't all. So there was a mission of reviving the golden age, which was all by design, that I shared before, that it was designed to fail, so that I carry that energy to this lifetime to revive it for the right timing. And on a grand scheme of design, that failure was with a purpose. It serves a purpose for now, very important purpose. So there was a lot of guilt on my part when I died, feeling that I didn't, you know, like this was a point where I had to kill myself, and this other party won over. And then from that point onwards in history, everything became, it started, the centralization really started to take place. So so the energy from so-called the energy of Republican to the energy of empire, meaning there is a king, there is an emperor who rules everything and everyone. We were entering that era or that age of darkness. So I kind of had that connection, and I kind of got the idea, okay. And I remember like crying like crazy, and I remember killing myself, and that was the area that I was, this tomb, the royal tomb area in Alexandria that I visited back when I was in Egypt. When I first arrived, I went on a few tours, and I thought that I was drawn to go to Alexandria, but nothing is an accident. And so when I went inside the tomb, I started to feel like goosebumps and all these energies and chills. And I remember telling my tour guide, who was also divinely guided to take me there, because whenever it was the second time, I just randomly booked my tour, and the same guy showed up who took me to the pyramid. And it was just me alone, even though it was a group tour that I signed up, nobody else signed up. So it was became like a private tour, and almost like friends going on a trip, because he brought his own friend to drive the car, and we were in the car together, and he was showing me. And that experience, so we went inside the tomb, and then I remember telling him, it's like, I need to get out of here, like this is spooking me up. It's like, I don't like tombs. And he said, like, there's nothing scary, and come here. And he took me to all these other areas. He said it's okay, and then showed me around like deep into the tomb. And I just got a lot of chills, and I remember that was the place that I killed myself in Alexandria in my Cleopatra timeline. So I just cried so much, and I kind of understood why, like how the energy of guilt is carrying on through different lifetimes. And it was back then, and it's still like present with me now, and in different dynamics. It's showing up in different dynamics and different life situations, and the role that you chose to play with your parents or certain people in your life, so that you recognize what it is once again, to clear that up basically. And so actually a few days ago, suddenly I was just on social media, and there's this music and this clip from this drama, this K-drama, which is based on a time slip, but it was like showing in the historical era. And there was some sort of music and narration of a female lead, and then all of a sudden it made me cry. And then like the crown chakra like activating, and I was tapping into my Akash. And all of a sudden I started to remember what I was feeling when I saw the dead body of Mark Anthony. So my lover at the time, in that lifetime, that he killed himself when he learned the false news that I died. So he like stabbed him or something like that. That's from the information that I was given before. But that didn't come through to the Akash. But what I saw in the Akash and I was reliving, like traveling through in my consciousness, was I remember holding his body, like physical body. So I saw his dead body. I don't know the real story. I held him and I just started to cry like crazy. Like, I've never experienced that kind of love in this lifetime. And I don't know about other lifetime, but this lifetime, like, I was always drawn to the idea of the soulmate and like deep love and very soulful love. That even though I had, you know, these like relationships and all that interactions, right? It was like I was always craving something deeper, something profound. And if it wasn't that, I don't know. Like that was kind of the like the thoughts or this inclination for some reason. So there were like guys who I dated, they wanted to marry me. But I was like, when I picture myself being with them, married, like it wasn't matching up to what I was craving on a soul level. Like, you know, for example. So didn't work out, right? Of course. I couldn't settle. And so I was like, maybe that's why I'm craving a lot of this. Like I was always drawn to like movies and stories and or even music and dramas of like this kind of time traveling and deep connection, you know, like a lot of people, you know, have experiences of on a soul level. But for me, it was the Cleopatra timeline. And I remember I just started to just cry like crazy, like I never did before. Like it was on a different level. I remember, like I share this a little bit on a different video. When I remember, I think it was like 2024, 2023, I'm not quite sure. All of a sudden there was a memory that was coming back of my Native American timeline where my brother died in protection of me. So he got shot and then he died, and I remember crying. And I cried like crazy back then, but it was a different kind of energy. Like this one was like, it's different, like because that was like crying for my brother and this one was crying for my lover. And you know, these two things I never experienced in this lifetime. And this time, like my heart was really broken. Like I was like, it's like as if I'm seeing a movie where all these actors or actresses are like crying, like they're time traveling as well, like when their lover died or something like that, or their soulmate died, and just outbursting crying. Like, so I was doing the same thing for I don't know for how long. It was very intense. It kept coming up. I was crying, like, you know, like tears and like all this like nose, like runny nose. And I remember the love that I had for him and the love he had for me. And it was something that I never really experienced in this lifetime, because in this lifetime most of the love that I had with my family was for with very much conditions, and also it was to my love was to be utilized. My giving and kind nature, helpful nature was to be utilized for their own well-being. So there was a lot of the energies of like feeling disappointed, feeling betrayed, feeling, you know, like backstabbed, right? And feeling manipulated and deceived. But because I had the soul contract with them, I was very much blinded because I was so loyal to them because they were my family. You see what I mean? So I was playing that role in that blindedness, that I wasn't able to see what they were doing clearly. Even though I was sensing something on an intuitive level, I always discarded it. I always kind of put it aside because I was also playing out this character. The energy was carrying a lot of karma of the generations of this bloodline that I chose to came into, of a lot of wounded feminine, wounded masculine, a lot of different complex energies. So there were a lot of things that I needed to play out as well. So that's why I stayed, right? This codependent energy, this love, hate, attachment energies, and all of this. And that heartbreak of someone who you love so deeply, that you feel connected to so deeply. Like, even when I think about it now, just by speaking again, because I tapped into the Akash, all the memories came back. So like, I still feel it makes me feel very emotional just by thinking about it. And I could cry right now because I could relive that moment of the amount of love that we had for each other. But somehow it all went into fail. And the amount of regret that I was carrying when I was facing his dead body. And I remember touching him, his face, and kissing him. He was dead. And in like crying. So it's like, later in hindsight, it's like kind of a Romeo and Juliet type of energy, like a lot of the people will have experienced this kind of stuff with a soulmate energy or something, because in the age of darkness experimentation, there were a lot of tragedies that was happening. And sometimes you don't know that it's all by grand design for the soul. So I remember I still enjoy this time slip kind of drama back and forth between past and future, and like Back to the Future kind of idea, right? That they reincarnate again and they meet in this modern time and it becomes happily ever after, right? Back then, because of the circumstances, the age, the surroundings, right? Like, it was very difficult for people to exercise their free will, right? Back then, in that under the king, the governance, and there were a lot of like different classes and hierarchical class systems, and like the enslavement, right? So now we have a little bit more of the the freedom of choice per se. It's like, when you see all these dramas, they had this painful memory and now they are reincarnated again in this lifetime, and they somehow meet, right? They cross paths again. So we call it like destiny. It's like destined or fated encounter, right? And it's all by design and purpose to like transmute all those energies and into pure love or something like that. So they experience this love and when they share this love, it's around everyone. So that's like the energy that I was like, that's like a hindsight that I was getting. And then I remember like that love, that energy, that in that particular lifetime, it was like, I would say deep, but I don't know, that's the human language that I can describe best. Like really deep, very beautiful, very like, it's like I would die for you kind of energy, you know, which I was kind of longing like, and kind of like fantasize about ever since I was a little kid, you know. I remember telling everyone, like, if it's not my soulmate, I'm not gonna like, and I was very like adamant about it. I don't know, for some reason, ever since I was like, I remember like 5, 6, 7 or something. But you know, in the middle, like as you go through your life, you forget, right? And you start to like feel like you need to conform to like the societal norms, and what they were conditioning start to have an effect on your decisions and choices. But still, like for some reason, they want me to share this. My spirit team wanted me to share this, and the dragons are here with me for some reason as well. So a lot of these energies are merging right now as we are facing the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse this month, as we are having the full moon in Pisces on the 7th, which is the eclipse portal, which is very emotional and very much of the energy of the past we are clearing at this time. The past, not as in this lifetime, but also other lifetimes that you may have had thus far, that is actually simultaneously going on right now. So it's like Back to the Future movie. The main character goes to the future and he makes certain decisions that changes the past. So rewriting the history. So that is taking place right now during this eclipse portal. And what I was shown was the eclipse portal this year is with the rainbow portal, which holds the infinite possibility, doorways opening energy. So that's why I shared earlier today on shorts, YouTube shorts, that, you know, this I am affirmations, aligning affirmations, like I am aligned with this, I am aligned with that. That's to help anyone that may resonate intuitively on a soul level, that they're making a choice to align with their highest timeline, so-called, or higher timeline, however you resonate, going through that portal, meaning you're landing onto the energy of the new earth. And when these soulmate energies, or like twin flames, or however you resonate with these terms, when the souls merge, the merging of the two, the love that they hold between each other will amplify even bigger and larger and more expansive. And that's also the purpose for the unions outside as a result of the union within, so that they come prepared without sabotaging this love. Because if someone holds, there may still some experiences and challenges, or the growth aspects from the relationship or the dynamic that they need to learn and adapt and to grow with together. but it's not going to be like one person feeling so burdensome by the other who's not doing the work, but it's going to be more like hand in hand, and they will work together in cooperation and help each other grow, lift each other up, and then they elevate together like this. So that's like the energies that I'm guided to share the message. So when that love happens, it affects everyone else around that energy, that amplified love energy. And it's going to have a very positive effect on people, because that energy of love is so powerful, is what I'm going to share. So for some reason, I'm just going to tap in. Is there anything else that you want me to share? So what's the purpose of me sharing this story? So they want me to share the story to help someone that are intuitively pulled and resonating without resistance, right? That everything that they are going through at this time, it's the unknown, but to sort of activate in their soul aspect, there's a higher purpose to all of this. So I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why I'm here right now, right? Doing this thing or going through these emotions or life situations or however it is. But there's a bigger purpose. And when a soul starts to pick up on it, it starts to gather, I would say, strength, because like it's not get murkied up or muddied up, like meaning you don't get into like too much of that confusion of analysis paralysis, or that leads to like overthinking, over analyzing, or over attaching to what's going on, trying to resolve, meaning trying to control. And you can simply let all of that heaviness of the fixation and attachment energies, and even though there may be still things that seem a little unsettled, you can remain centered, meaning you can be at a higher understanding point of observance, like looking down from the sky up, have everything, like have an overview. So the analogy that is coming is like when we're focused on like the little problem, the tiniest issue, we go in and dig in and go in and go in and go in, and that's when we get like digging the rabbit hole, and we start to lose why we were doing this in the first place, and you get like entangled into it. But when you are like go to a nature, or when you are on a plane, or when you go up to the mountain overlooking everything, you start to realize, right? Your vision gets wider, and you start to realize that wasn't such a big problem, you see? And then also it goes same with the idea of death. When you imagine yourself, this is your last breath, or you are like lying, just about to die in this lifetime. So all the things that you thought was a huge problem, all the things that you feared, right? That you fear so much to take action towards, or the dreams that you had that you never really gave your energy to, to make it come true, or you may start to realize, why was I holding myself back so much, or why was I not doing or saying or taking an action on that? Why was I thinking so much? Why was I thinking too much? You see what I mean? That whatever the results, whatever that you may be fearing, it may not come through, but it's not going to be a big of a deal than you think in your mind. You see what I mean? So it could also help someone to have courage. And that's something that I also did with a lot of different cycles in this lifetime, because I chose to go through like very quick changes, sudden changes, very intensely, and then move on to another one and another one. Whenever I had to make a decision, jumping from this to totally another thing, I remember always imagining myself that if I were to die tomorrow, what would I do? Would I stay in this job, or would I take the risk of going back to school and study what I really like to study, or something, you know, that's which something I did. Like I quit my job in finance, and I decided to go to London and study contemporary art, which was something totally different. Even though after you make the decision, I had to face a lot of like, oh, what have I done? Because it's like a lot of different new sets of lessons and growth experiences that were awaiting. But you know, for some, you know, somehow I was able to navigate through. But when it comes to the decision making, whatever that you fear, it's like you will say, it was nothing. What was I waiting for? And why did I not let myself live the moment? And meaning like take the risk in a way. And we call it a risk because it's outside of comfort zone, and also because it's an unfamiliar territory. That's why we call it a risk, because there are a lot of uncertainties involved in the old concept of mindset. You see what I mean? So that's like the old language, taking the risk in a way. But actually what it does is like, when we go into the unknown with the human mind, there's always that ego kicking in with a little bit of terror. And this human experience requires ego. That's why we always feel that or sense that. But we are moving to a different age where we are learning how to flow with the unknown and be okay in the unknown and let that unknown work for us. So that's where we are having this transitory period right now. So for some reason, that's what I'm going to share. So wherever you are, whatever that is, we call that heart desire. You have this heart desire that's connected to your soul desire. And usually they want to share the biggest sign that it's your heart desire is that it terrorizes you. But it's the right thing. That is what is coming. Can you make the connection, right? It's all unique, right? Take however resonates. So whatever that makes you feel so uncomfortable, makes you feel very nervous, makes you feel like, what if I lose everything that I know of? Or what if I have to face embarrassment? Or what if I have to feel rejected? Or what if I have to regret making this choice? Like all these talks, you will know. Because what's meant for you will never stop whispering in your hearts or in your ears. Because that's what you're meant for. So they will constantly come back. I wouldn't say haunt you, but to let you know that you are meant to move this way. But your ego may be feeling a little bit resistant, you know? A little bit feeling not so fully confident yet, or whatever that is, that you feel like you're not fully prepared yet. But we are releasing all of this because we were living through, like especially with the new moon in Virgo, full moon in Pisces, learning also to drop that perfectionist Virgo energies at this time as well. So this is different from taking like an impulsive or reckless move, but more instinctive. That's not only instinctive, but backed by your logical mind as well. So it's very much like in harmony of the yin and yang energy already taking place. And when that happens and your heart is still feeling pulled, but your ego has a little bit of resistance, that's what I'm talking about. It's not like, ooh, like, okay, what the heck, I'm just gonna do it. You know, like, it's not that kind of like, it's different from the energy. Like, you've been sitting with this for quite some time, but now they're meaning my spirit team source Gaia, they're telling me, for anyone that may resonate, it's divine timing now for you to take the action towards it, whatever it is, whether it's something that you are to choose to pursue, or something that you choose to drop, something that you choose to get out of, something that you choose to build, whatever it is. Like right now, it's the divine timing, is the message that is coming for me to share for some reason. Okay, so is that all? Yeah, they're saying it's all. That's all. That's all for today. That's all for this moment right now for me. But it could be whenever you resonate and come across this message in divine timing, right? So with that, we're all going through a lot of different energies, continuously cleaning up, continuously cleansing, learning, growing, leveling up in our own ways, right? In your unique ways. So I just want to share that whatever that you feel like you're missing out on, that you didn't feel like you didn't take the action then, the idea of the divine timing to take the action to align with your soul purpose didn't mean that you should criticize yourself or feel bad for yourself, carry that guilt or carry that regret with you. Let that go, because you think that it's your ego. You think that you needed to control that, but everything happens in divine timing. You see? So if this is the time that you feel resonated, it's going to be your divine timing. So there is no need for you to hold on to regrets, hold on to guilt, hold on to self-blame. There's no need for you to do that. So forgive yourself and allow yourself to feel free meaning feel light, so you can align with love more than these heavy energies. So you give space to your heart and fill it up with love, inspiration and passion and joy, and also abundance. So that means we are to stay centered in the midst of these challenges, which is all possible for you to do, which is all capable for you to do. That it's just a matter of shifting focus and aligning with the energy of gratitude simply, right? Feeling grateful for everything that you went through, feeling grateful for all the lessons in different interactions and life situations thus far, for helping you to grow, to strengthen you, to help you remember, and just feeling grateful for this moment simply, for who you are right now, where you are in all of your stages, in all forms, is what is coming. We call it unconditional love, right? So that's the energy they want us to tap into at this time during this eclipse season, just before that lunar eclipse and solar eclipse portal, so that we elevate on a soul level and we align more with our higher mind or higher self. So with that, we are moving to the North Node altogether, which we started this September with the new moon in Virgo in 0 degrees. So with that, the full energy is coming through in tarot, traditional tarot, the 0, the new star, that also represents infinite possibilities. So with that, another short videos that I made with this aligning with infinite energies of all these doors open now. Doors closing and opening. And sounds like a cliche, but you always hold the key. You always hold the key to close and open. So that's the energy right now. So I hope this helped. For anyone that's here right now till the end, I appreciate you, and I'm sending you lots of love your way, and I'll see you in my other videos. Bye.